Hello?
Good afternoon, Ms. McLemore. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Good. Do you, when, Ms. Miller gets here, do you need a breakout room? Do you need to speak with your client? Do you need anything?
I did send some exhibits over to the court.
Okay,
So I don't know if so that they could be available for the judge. If they're introduced, I'm not sure if they'll all be introduced or what, but I did have exhibits 1 through A through
Okay.
F.
okay, but you don't need a breakout room with anybody?
I I don't think so. I think
Okay,
yeah, I don't know. It wouldn't hurt to speak with her just one more time to see if there's anything we can do to resolve it.
oh,
I guess it
okay,
wouldn't-
when she gets here, I'll do that for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No. How are you, Miss Johnson? Did you want to speak to me? You gotta you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can. You did want to speak to me?
No, I just was saying hi, letting you know
Oh,
I was
okay.
here. I didn't know
Okay,
if
yeah,
you
I
seen
see
me or
you.
not.
Yeah, I know
Okay.
you're always here. So let's when the attorney gets here, I mean, I don't know what we can do in trying to resolve it, but at this point, but I mean, you know.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Ms. Miller. Hi, how are you today? How are you today, Ms. Miller? I think you're not on mute.
My volume's turned down, I think.
Oh, okay. Okay. I emailed some exhibits to the court and I also forwarded them to you.
Oh, exhibits, okay.
Mhm.
When, this morning or?
Yes, today. The lease agreement, a couple other things. Okay. So if you want to check your email,
Is it from Jessica Becker?
it is. Just in case, just thought I'd let you know, just in case you didn't check your email.
Oh, yeah, the lease. Well, the lease was attached to the complaint, so. All right, what's that?
I don't know. Was the lease attached to the complaint, Ms. Johnson?
Well, I sent them 4 copies to the court
Okay.
for service. Well,
Okay, then the judge would already have it. Okay. But I think it's important that she have that, so good. And the judge's clerk was asking me, did we want to speak? I don't really know. I mean, we've spoken quite a bit, so I didn't really know if there was any, common ground here.
well, I don't know what we could do. We just
Okay.
want her to leave as soon as possible and we want the rent paid. I didn't get you a copy of the water bill. I just got it from him like Friday. He just got it in the mail last week.
Okay, the judge is on the bench now.
I could probably.
This is 231935 LT. This is Tetla McConnon versus Shantu Johnson. May I have your appearances, please?
Noreen Miller on behalf of plaintiff McCone
Your
and
Honor.
Tedla.
And Your Honor, excuse me, this is Danette McLemore appearing on behalf of the defendant counter plaintiff.
Thank you. Today is the day and time set for hearing on the non-payment of rent semi-proceeding that is pending and with these parties. Ms. Miller, are you prepared to proceed this afternoon?
Yes,
You have all necessary documents and witnesses.
yes,
Ms. McLemore, is defendant ready to proceed this afternoon?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have all necessary documents and witnesses.
Yes, Ms. Shantu Johnson would be our witness, but we also did forward some exhibits to the court this afternoon.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Miller, do you wish to make an opening statement?
no,
Ms. McLemore, do you wish to make an opening statement?
Your Honor, yes, again, Danette McLemore appearing on behalf of Shantu Johnson. Your Honor, I think that originally, I'm sure the court's well aware this case has a very long tortured history. And the defendant did, originally when she moved into this unit, she did receive shortly after moving in, she received a 30-day notice for termination of tenancy. There is a lease involved. I'm not sure the plaintiff's counsel did indicate that a copy of the lease was attached to the court complaint. I am not sure, but I also have an exhibit that I can introduce in terms of Exhibit A, but that would be it, Your Honor, and I'm sure that we would be able to go through the facts of the case.
Thank you. Ms. Miller, your first witness.
Mr. Tedla. Mac, can you hear me? Mac? He might be muted.
He's not muted. He needs to start his video and I'll swear him in.
Oh. Mac? Oh, there you go.
Raise your right hand for me, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I can't hear you, sir.
Someone has you muted.
He's not muted. Sir, you might need to turn your microphone up. You can put your hand down while you're getting your technology worked out. Thank you. Try again. Your name, please.
There's a volume button on your computer.
Or he didn't connect the audio to the audio.
His
volume.
audio is connected. That's not the issue. It's your microphone might be turned down.
Look on the F keys, way at the top of the computer keypad.
I still can't hear you, sir. To the person, are you able to hear me, Mr. Tedla? Just nod your head if you're able to hear me. Okay. In the lower left-hand corner of your screen, you should see an audio button. I need you to go in there and test your microphone and we can
Yes.
figure out what's going on. Oh, here we are.
I can't hear you now.
Thank you. State your name for the record, sir.
McConan Terla.
Thank you. Your witness, ma'am.
Mr. Tadla,
Yes, ma'am.
excuse me. Do you mind if I call you Mac? That's what I'm used to calling you.
That's good.
Okay. Mac, do you own a home at 40543 Alden in Belleville, Michigan?
Yes, I do.
And when did you purchase that?
Around November last year.
Did you subsequently rent it out?
No, the first person I rented out was Miss Jackson.
Johnson.
Yes,
And how long after you purchased the home did you rent it to her?
probably within a week.
Now, when you purchased the home, was there a city inspection done?
Everything inspection done by the TT. All the realtor, everything she have all the paperwork.
Was there any requirement that you repair anything?
Nothing.
When did Miss Johnson move in?
Probably from the purchase day within approximately about 10 days.
Did she contact you about a repair that was needed at the home?
Yeah, after she moved in, she told me there is a low pressure in the washer and dryer room.
Okay. And did you contact your plumber?
Yeah, I sent the plumber. He went out inside and he
How
looked what
long,
it
how long after she called you did you call your plumber?
probably within 48 hours he was there.
And did he make a repair?
He went out and looked the job, and he went out to buy what needs to be repaired for the pressure. By the time he go back to the house, the tenant declined him to go inside the house. They kicked him out.
And was there any other discussion about the washer and dryer?
And I offered them to purchase a new washer and dryer if it need to.
And was that accepted?
No,
Now, when Ms. Johnson moved in, did she pay you a down payment on the rent?
yeah, the first time she moved in, she paid me her security deposit and the first rent.
Okay. And when was the next rent due?
It wasn't, I think, in January, if I remember right.
Well, if she moved in early November,
Yes,
do you want to refer to the lease to refresh your memory?
yeah, no, if I remember right, she moved in November. And the first contact I have with her is, I think, January to first the rent.
Well, would you look at the lease?
All right.
I believe he's answered the question.
No. He
Is that an
doesn't
objection,
remember.
Ms. McLemore?
I do object, right. I believe that Ms. Miller is not able to testify for the witness. The witness answered the question.
You need to look at the lease to refresh your recollection.
Okay, the list shows 11/1/22.
Okay, so was that the date she moved in?
That's the day she moved in,
So when would the next rent be due?
which is this one shows 11, which is gonna be the first payment gonna be at 12.
Okay, so December, is that what you're saying?
Yes, December 1st.
Okay, so when December came around, did she pay you rent?
No, she
Okay.
told me she's waiting for a disability check, and she told me to hold for a few days. And I hold for 7 days, and I call her back, and she told me, no, do not call her back. Do not call me back.
Has she paid any rent since then?
Nothing.
And how much is the monthly rent?
1,300.
Does the lease provide that the tenant also pay utilities?
Yes, she changed all the electric and everything under her name.
Okay, so has she paid all the utilities?
I don't know about the electric bill, that's in her name. But, I got a share of notice from the city about the water.
Okay, and how much is owing on that?
I believe it's about 400 something.
If you have the bill, you can refer to it.
Okay, just give me 1 second. Okay, it's the past due shows 385.61.
Now, when she moved in, was the water paid up?
Yeah, which is the closing company. Before they transferred the house to me, everything is paid to zero.
Does Ms. Johnson still have possession of the home?
Yes, I do.
And how
Yes,
how do you know that?
Well, I call the police, Van Buren police, and making a welfare check. I went to the property, and with the police officer try to open the door, the keys change. And basically, I check after that, her car is parking every time they're in the house.
And what was the reason? What was the reason you went there with the police?
Because the welfare check in the house, because she told us she gonna leave the key by you guys at the police station to get the position of the house. And I tell them maybe, she just ran away. That's the reason I go there.
So did you ever go to the property to check to make sure if it was vacant or not?
Yes.
Has she given you a copy of the new keys?
No.
Is there a provision in the lease for the cost of a locksmith in the event tenant changes the locks?
It's gonna be about $225. That's what I get an estimate.
So at this point in time, how much rent is owing, or how many months?
It should be from November up to now. So it's gonna take me a little bit time to figure out exactly.
Well, it's $1,300 a month from, she paid November, correct?
Yeah,
When
yes,
she moved in.
yeah.
Okay, so from December forward.
Times what, 8? The rent also, which is up to now $10,400.
Now, is there a provision in the lease that the property be maintained and kept in cleaned up condition?
Yes,
Okay, and have you gotten a notice from the city about that?
yes, I have the copy of it, my phone.
And what condition is the yard now?
Wow, it's still terrible, but we just don't want to send somebody against the property because we don't want to cause a problem. We have to notify the police, or the court have to know before we go there.
Have you gotten calls from the neighbors, from any neighbors about the condition of the yard?
The neighbors even asked me they want to help, but she reject nobody to come to the property.
Is there anything in the yard besides tall grass? Is there any junk?
I seen a garbage can everywhere, and I seen something in the back of the yard thrown everywhere.
Okay. So at this point, are you asking that the judge order that she pay the rent up to the date that she moves out?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking the judge. Basically, I really want her to move out and get my property back.
And you're also asking for the yard cleanup?
Yeah, because when she go out, we're gonna have somebody to come and start clean up the yard. We're gonna have more bills to come, but at this time I don't know how much.
Have you gotten any estimates on just cutting the grass?
Last time the guy said $560 to cut
I would
the
object to this testimony, Your Honor, without some kind of written documentation regarding any expenses that the plaintiff is discussing, and I would object to this testimony, Your Honor.
Well, the
We're gonna
problem
have-
is
we're gonna-
that we don't
gonna-
know until
No,
she
sir.
moves
No,
out.
sir. No, sir. Ms. Miller?
We won't know what the exact amount is until after she moves out.
Exactly.
Are you aware that the filing fee for this case was $130?
Yes.
Okay, and the process service fee was $34?
Yes.
And are you asking for any statutory attorney fees?
I think that answer should be yes.
Okay, I have nothing further.
Thank you. Ms. McLemore?
Yes, Mr. Tetla, you indicated that you purchased the home in November, correct?
Yes.
Okay, when you purchased the home in November, did you register this property as a rental?
We just purchased a property.
My question
but
is, did you register as a rental?
I don't know. I don't think in the Belleville Township, you don't have to register a property as a rental. I don't have any idea.
In what community? This is Westland. I mean, this is
That's not Westland, Belleville.
Belleville, right?
Yeah.
Belleville.
It's not, it's actually Van Buren Township.
Yeah. It's Van Buren Township.
Okay, this property isn't registered as a rental.
We just purchased a property. We don't know what's going on. We don't have any
Okay,
idea.
so you did not do that. You didn't contact the city regarding the city of Van Buren Township or the authorities at Van Buren Township. You did not check into whether or not the property needed to be registered.
I'm not sure about those things.
You don't know about that. Okay, but you didn't do it. You didn't contact them.
I'm not sure.
You don't know if you did it?
I'm not sure. What's that?
Okay, and you mentioned that the defendant moved to the property sometime in November. You bought the property in November, correct? And
Yes.
it was and you said from the time that you bought the property, you showed the home to her, or how soon was it between the time that you actually purchased the property that you rented it to Ms. Shantu Johnson?
I didn't show her the house. The person who sold the house for me, her name is Suzanne Weiss. She bring her
Right.
to the property.
My
I didn't
question
show-
is, but between the time that you bought it and you rented it to her, what's the amount of time?
About 2-3 days.
2, 3 days, okay. And then about, was it 10 days after that she moved in?
I don't know. We gave her the key the second day. I don't know when she moved in.
Okay. And so part of November, a few days, at least some days in November were already gone, correct?
Yes.
Okay, at the time that you purchased, or that Miss Johnson moved into the property, did you ever do a walkthrough with her on the property? Did you show her the property? Did you go through the property with her?
Yeah, I was there for one day. She saw the house. She loved the house. And that's the
Okay.
only contact I have. And she moved in.
Did you ever do an inventory checklist?
Because the house is almost brand new, which is all the
My
inventory list
question
was
to you is, did you ever do an inventory checklist?
on my side. No, because I don't need to, because the house is purchased the same day.
Okay, so
We
you,
already have an inspection done by the seller.
well, we're talking about you're renting the property. So at that point, you were an owner, you were a landlord, correct?
I
You
cannot
were a
remember that.
landlord.
I cannot remember that.
You bought the house and you were renting it out, correct?
No, I bought the house and I basically, with the real estate lady, I gave her the key.
Your Honor, yeah, I'm a little confused. You bought the house and then you rented the property to Miss Johnson to live in, correct?
Yes,
Okay, so then that makes you her landlord, correct?
yes.
Okay, did you do an inventory checklist, meaning that you go through each room of the house and inspect it and, and have her, give her 2 copies of an inventory checklist that she could then complete and give back to you?
I don't remember that.
No, okay.
I'm not sure.
Did
I
you,
don't remember.
at the time that she moved into the property, you acknowledged that she paid a month's rent, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, did she also pay a security deposit?
yes, she did.
Okay, and how much was that?
I believe it's about $2,000.
Okay, so she paid you a total of $3,300 when she moved into the property?
Yes, I believe that.
Okay, and that was without an inventory check?
I don't know what you mean by inventory check, but the house is in a good condition. When I
Okay.
spend $400,000 for the house should be in a good condition. The reason I gave the house to her because of
Your
her
Honor, if
friend.
you could ask the defendant or the plaintiff to answer the questions that I asked him, please. Please respond to the questions I asked.
Okay,
So my question again was that you did not go through the property with her and you never did an inventory checklist, correct?
we did go to the property.
Did you do an inventory checklist that's required under the law
No.
in Michigan? No,
I didn't.
okay. And you didn't contact Van Buren Township and check to see if you needed to do and register the property as a rental?
And like what I say, I'm not sure about that.
Would you say that after the defendant moved in, did she contact you at all for other repairs? Did she ever contact you regarding problems with the bathroom?
No,
No?
Yeah.
Okay. Did she ever contact you regarding any kind of rodents or anything getting into the home?
no,
No? Okay. And at the time, you mentioned that there's a water bill on the home. Did you ever send that or provide that to Ms. Johnson?
at the time, they didn't send out a water bill, but when it's a sheriff notice, they send it to my primary address, mail to my primary address.
Okay, so you're saying you have a $400 water bill now, but you have not presented that to Ms. Johnson?
Because she told me not to call, not to contact. I don't have to go to the
You
property.
never presented it to her?
I just got the bill a few days ago.
Okay, and then did Ms. Johnson, she never your testimony is she never contacted you about any repairs that needed to be done in the bathroom?
No, it's
No.
not in the bathroom. First of all, let us make it clear. The problem was in the washer and dryer room. It's not in the bathroom. That's what the first time she contacted us. There is no pressure in the washer and dryer room.
Okay. And was there a time when there was items removed from the property? Was there ever, was the bathroom in a good working condition?
No,
It was not in a good working condition.
no, everything works.
Okay, the bathroom was in a good working condition.
Everything in a working good condition.
Um. Okay. And I have no other questions for this witness at this time, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Miller, any redirect?
Mr. Tedla, you stated previously that when you looked at the lease, that it was signed on November 3rd. And you just said you gave Ms. Johnson the keys on November 3rd, correct?
Yes,
Okay, so your purchase would have been the previous week, whatever date that was.
exactly, probably week.
Do you know what an inventory checklist is?
No, I don't know.
When you went through the property after you purchased it and before Miss Johnson moved in, did you note any repairs that were needed? Any problems with any water?
Nothing.
Okay. Was there a washer and dryer connected at that time?
Everything is connected. The fridge, the washer, the dryer, everything is the previous owner left it for us.
But you didn't have an opportunity to like start the washing machine up?
No,
Okay, so you wouldn't have any way of knowing whether,
exactly.
okay. So the total you've received to date between the 1 month's rent and the security deposit is $3,300 that you
Yes.
got from Miss Johnson since she moved in.
Yes.
And the reason she gave you for being late?
Basically, the first time we contact her, she says, her disability check didn't make it. And the second time we contact her, she says, I've been harassed. I've been harassed. Don't call me. Whenever I have the money, I will send it to you. That's what we've been told. I say,
Okay.
well, if you don't pay, you don't stay. Basically, I contact you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Your Honor, if I may, I have one other question I'd like to ask Mr. Tetlow.
I'm sorry, Ms. Miller, were you finished with your
Yes,
client?
yes, I'm finished.
Thank you, Ms.
Miss-
McLemore.
Mr. Tetlow, you
Yes.
presented a lease to Ms. Johnson when she moved into the property?
Yes.
Okay, you presented her with a lease, is that correct?
Yes.
And that lease was that lease for a term? Was it for 1 year?
Yes.
It was a 1-year lease?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Anything else, Ms. Miller?
No,
Thank you. Mr. Tello, thank you for your testimony this afternoon.
Thank you,
Ma'am,
Judge.
your next witness, you're welcome.
I have no further witnesses.
You rest your case, ma'am?
Yes, I rest my case. Sorry.
Thank you. It's okay. Ms. McLemore, your first
Yes.
witness.
Yes, I would like to call Shantu Johnson as a witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Johnson, thank you. Ms. Johnson, raise your right hand for me, please, ma'am. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Hey, put your hand down.
Could you please state
Ms.
your name for the
McLemore.
record? I'm sorry, could you please state your name for the record?
Shantae Johnson.
Okay, and your current address, or the address, did you rent a property from the plaintiff?
Yes, 405 Van Buren Township,
Okay,
48111.
and when did you first view that property?
The first day I looked at it was November the 2nd.
November
Me-
the 2nd?
Yeah, me, Susan, and Mr. Mack met there at the house on my break. He said he could only stay for a minute. He had to leave. So then me
Okay.
and Susan stayed.
And so at that time, on November the 2nd, you viewed the property. Were you presented with an inventory checklist?
No, ma'am.
No. Did Mr. Teller ever go through the property with you?
No, ma'am.
Did he provide you, he did not provide you with an inventory checklist or give you copies to fill out and return to him?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and then, when did you actually, rent the property? When did you rent the property?
I went to his place of business on the 3rd to sign the lease and give him a copy of my license and to give him $3,300.
Okay, so that was $3,300 that you paid at that time, and what the rental rate was how much?
The rent was $1,300 a month for a year's lease.
Okay, so you paid him, you paid $1,300 for the first month rent, and you also paid a security deposit?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and was that $2,000?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you give him $2,300 at that time. Okay, Mr. Teller just testified that you never paid him anything beyond that. Is that true?
That's not true, ma'am.
Did you pay him any rent beyond that, or did you make any payments beyond that first $3,300 payment?
Yes, I paid December's rent. And I also paid a company to come out to do the estimate on the plumbing in the bathroom.
Okay, well, you paid the December rent. So you paid the full $1,300 for December?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and at that point, at some point in time, did you try to tender additional payments of rent to Mr. Teller?
January, I tried to pay for January. He texted me a 30-day notice to vacate.
Okay, so in January,
7th.
you did contact Mr. Tetla and indicated that you had his rent payment for January?
Yes. And he
Okay.
said, January 7th, he texted me at 10:46 and said he wanted me to move out within 30 days because there was an explosion out of the garage on December 30th.
Okay, well, first of all, in terms of you paid the December and then you attempted to pay January, and Mr. Tetla, his response basically was to send you a 30-day notice?
Yes, he texted me a 30-day notice. He said, I don't want your money. Keep your money. I want you to move out.
Okay, so that information you got from him, and you received a text message with a 30-day notice to vacate?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then after that, there was also later you received a termination of tenancy complaint and summons?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you mentioned something about, okay, so when you rented the home, what was the garage? Did you have access to the garage?
No, the agreement between me and him was that his son was going to work out of the garage. And I wasn't going to have access to the garage because his son was working out of the garage and he was going to help with the DTE bill.
Okay, well, you're saying the son was going to work out of the garage. Explain that to me, please.
He was working out of the garage. He was supposed to come between 8 and 4. The time started changing all the time. He was working on cars. I reached out to Mr. Mack and told him that his son was coming all different times. He said, just let him know to leave, that you don't want him there now, and he'll come back the next day. So that's when the issue started, because his son was coming all types of hours to work on his cars that was in the garage.
Okay, so Mr. Tetla's son was working on cars in the garage?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so he was running a repair shop out of the garage.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this a residential neighborhood?
Excuse me, I object to that. That's calls for a conclusion. She has no idea whether he was charging money for his repairs.
I didn't ask. He was
Yes,
working.
repair shop means he's running a business. Fixing a car is
I'll
not a
redirect.
business.
I can ask that a different way, Your Honor. He was actually repairing cars in the garage, is that correct?
Yes.
And was it your understanding that he was running it, in your opinion, or is your
That's
understanding?
irrelevant. Objection, Your Honor.
I don't think it's
No,
irrelevant, Your Honor.
Hold on. Ms. Miller's objection is relevant. Your response, Ms. McLemore.
Okay, my response is if the if the defendant is residing in a residential residence, if she's living in a home and there is someone running a repair, working out of the garage, making repairs to the auto, she certainly can have an opinion as to whether or not that disrupted or had any impact upon her residing in the premises.
I don't think that's
Anything else, Ms.
relevant.
Miller?
This is a non-payment of rent. It's not relevant whether there was a noise in the garage. It was excluded from the start. Otherwise, the rent would have been a lot higher.
Where in the lease is the garage excluded?
Um, I'm not sure, but it does say that the premises are a 3-bedroom and 2-bath house.
And the lease also says the demised premises should be used and occupied by a lessee exclusively as a private single-family residence. If I'm missing something, I have a 1, 2, 3, 4-page lease. I'm looking for something that specifically says that the garage is excluded or that someone else will be using part of the property. And if it doesn't say that, it's relevant to this court in terms of use. So Ms. Johnson, you may answer the question.
Can you hear me? I didn't hear
Yes.
you.
Yeah, the judge indicated that you can answer my question. As far as you know, Mr. Tedler's son was making repairs out of the garage on vehicles, correct?
Yes, he was
He
working
was
on
repairing
vehicles.
those.
Yes.
Was it just one vehicle for a friend, as far as you know?
No, it was 2 or 3 of them because I got to see the cars as well. You know, as they sold them, somebody came to the house to pick up one. So I knew about it, yes.
Okay. And can you tell me, you said that he was coming at various different hours.
Yes.
So did that interrupt your enjoyment of the property?
Yes, because he came with, his son came with some of his friends. The DirecTV people were out there to hook up the DirecTV, and they were in the garage, and there was like 4 or 5 of them. You know, they was just sitting in there, just kicking it or whatever and smoking their little weed and just doing whatever they wanted. I reached out to Mac. He in turn said his son don't do this, he don't do that, but he wasn't there. He just told me if they came at the
Your
wrong
Honor, this is all irrelevant. If she couldn't have heard, even if he was doing drugs out there, she couldn't have heard it from the house, so it has no bearing on her use of the home. Can we stick to this, what's going to interfere with her use of the home?
Your Honor, I would disagree. I think that the use of an attached garage, Ms. Johnson, is garage attached?
Yes, it is. From the kitchen, you can go into the garage.
Okay, that's been blocked off though, correct?
Yes, he put a board and something up there because when I had to call DTE due to the explosion out of the garage, they said it was a hazardous and he cannot block that off. So I had to reach out to Mac to come out because there was fumes. I didn't know if it was carbon monoxide or what was going on in there because I had no access to it. So I had to
Okay.
reach out to him.
If I may, just in terms of backing up, Ms. Johnson, you indicated that there was an explosion in the garage. So tell me about that. What happened? When did that happen?
It happened on December 30th. It was about 11:27. There was a big explosion, like a gun sound or something. I thought it was a gun because it's a country area. So when I got up, it was about 11:27. It was a big loud noise and all these fumes started coming in the house and they were really strong. So I reached out to DTE because I didn't know if it was carbon monoxide or what it was. So I reached out to them and I reached out to Mac. I said, Mac, there's fumes coming from the garage. I don't know exactly what it is. He said, I just left 10 minutes ago. Everything is okay. He was not there. His son was in the garage. Something exploded. I don't know what it was, but the fumes were coming in the house. DTE came out. They said, we need to get in the garage. I had to reach out to Mac. He came out. They talked. I left, came back, and that was it.
Okay, so there were fumes in the home, and so they were, as far as you know, you don't know what they were, but they definitely, did you have to leave the home?
Yes, they came in with a wand, to find some type of wand, and DT came in through the kitchen and everything. They said, we really need to get in this garage. I said, I don't have access to the garage. I have to reach out to the owner. They said, okay. So I know that he came, but I don't know what was said because he was outside talking to them.
Okay, so then after that, again, okay, so again, in terms of the rent, again, you said you did reach out to Mr. Tedla and tried to pay additional rent, and at that time, he informed you that he just wanted you to move, is that correct?
Yes,
And you got the text message with the notice, a 30-day notice saying move.
yes. On the
Okay,
January 7th at 10:46.
Okay, and so you have, he sent you a written text message saying, did he tell you anything else, or did you have some conversations with him?
He said I called him too much and I complained too much, is all he
Okay.
said.
Okay, so when you moved into the home, back in November, you had moved from somewhere else, you incurred time and expense in moving into that home, correct?
Yes, I had an apartment I stayed in for 5 years. It had
Okay.
27 steps. I was to have knee and hip surgery. Him and Susan talked. The reason for me moving to this property was because I needed a level ground house because I was having knee and hip surgery, which I have not had yet because 1 week I can stay, next week you got to get out. So I couldn't do the surgery and not have nowhere to stay. So I had to put it off. He knew that I was on disability. He knew I got paid every second week of the month. He knew how much it was, and he knew I was having surgery.
Okay, but again, so you disagree with the amount that paid, but it was, so you did, in your opinion, you paid the first month security deposit and you did pay January, and you attempted to pay the rent beyond that. Okay, so that first case, that termination of tenancy case that you
Excuse
got
me.
served with a complaint.
Objection, that was not characterized. She didn't say she paid January. She said she
She
paid
did.
December, but she wanted to pay January, but she had already gotten the notice to terminate and it was refused.
Ms. Miller is correct. Her testimony was that she paid December and that
You're right.
Mr. Tedler refused January.
That is correct, Ms. Johnson, you agree. You paid December, you attempted to pay January, and that's when you got the 30-day notice. That's correct? Okay,
Yes.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I misspoke. Okay, so the termination of tenancy case, that is how I met you, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, what happened with that case? The court would know that case was dismissed, is that correct?
Yeah, because they didn't show up. And I reached
Okay.
out to Pat to ask him why they keep filing papers to come to court and not showing up. He said, this is what my lawyer does. She's gonna bleed you dry and we're gonna get you for every dime. But he never showed up. And he
Okay.
told me on the phone because I asked him. I said, why do you keep sending court papers for me to come to court?
This is all
Not showing up.
nonsense, irrelevant.
It's not nonsense, but Ms. McLemore, let's move on.
Okay, you're right, Your Honor. Thank you.
And it's not true.
Okay, so, did you and Mr. Teller ever have a conversation about the utilities in the home?
Yes,
Okay, so you do have a lease agreement that says the lease says that you're responsible for the utilities, is that correct?
yes.
Okay, so how is it that you and Mr. Teller had discussions later on about the utilities?
Because his son was working out of the garage. He said he was using power tools and all this stuff out there. He was gonna help with the DTE bill. I said, okay. He said, I'm gonna pay 25 to 75% of the bill. Well, the bill started coming to be like $600. The last bill was $1308.75. And all this stuff started happening and we never got to get to any money being paid on that. And I had Z Plumbing come out to repair the bathroom that he didn't do. and I paid for the estimate for that. And they never finished the bathroom, so that still tore up. Then I had mice coming in, everything, and he said, anything you have to say to me, say to your lawyer and have her refer back to my lawyer. Do not contact me anymore, text or call.
Okay, so the bathroom, what was going on with the bathroom? What happened in the bathroom?
The first day, the water started coming out of the bathroom into the kitchen. The shower was messed up, so the water was running all over the place, and the washer and dryer didn't have any power. So I reached out to Mac. He sent somebody out. He said they had to go get some parts and stuff, and they would be back. I said, okay. I reached out to him a couple days later. He said the guy spends time on the weekend with his family. I will let you know when he's going to come out. So he texted me back and said, I will let you know when he's going to come. He never came. I reached out to Z Plumbing because I couldn't use that bathroom. Reached out to Z Plumbing. They came out on December 6th. They said it's going to be $6,500 to repair this bathroom and the water connection to the washer and dryer because it's in that bathroom.
Are they ready?
I paid $175 for the estimate, and Max said he was going to pay me back. He said that's too high, I will find somebody else.
Okay, so you did pay for a plumber to come out. They gave an estimate, but in terms of your expense and for you to be able to use the bathroom, then you incurred the $175 expense. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's 2 bathrooms in the home.
Okay, so that particular bathroom, what's the condition of that bathroom?
It's still tore up. The back part where the toilet is all open. That's where the mice and stuff was coming in at. The guy left all the stuff tore up. I cleaned up all the stuff off the floor. The washer and dryer never worked, but the bathroom is still tore up. I submitted pictures about everything, how it looks, but it's horrible.
Right. So, Your Honor, I have submitted some of exhibits to the court, and I would like to refer to Exhibit D.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Exhibit D. You provided me with some photos regarding the condition of the bathroom, of that bathroom that you're speaking about. Is that correct, Ms. Johnson?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so these are photos that you took of the bathroom?
Yes.
Okay, and they reflect that, I guess there were some things being torn out of the apartment, out of the bathroom, out of the wall and out of the, is that the condition that you saw that the bathroom was left in?
Yes.
Okay, and again, I'd like to introduce them as defendants Exhibit D. And was there any other, did they ever contact you, or did the man ever come back? Mr. Teller testified that you would not let him in the home. Is that true?
That's not true. He never came back. And Mr. Tetler never reached out. So I ended up calling Z Plumber, and I told Mr. Tetler, well, your guy didn't come back, so I'm going to call Z Plumber and get an estimate and see. He said, okay. So they came out, and I paid for the estimate, and they gave me all this paperwork saying what plumbing needs to be repaired. So he was well aware of the bathroom, and he knew about the washer and dryer as well.
Okay.
So he said that was too high. He said he would pay me my $175 back, and that was it.
Okay. And so I like to refer to Exhibit F, Your Honor, and that is, you provided me, Ms. Johnson, you provided me with a receipt that you paid for the plumbing estimate.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I believe, and Your Honor, I'd like to introduce that as Defendant's Exhibit F.
Yes,
And
ma'am. Any objection, Ms. Miller?
I need to know when those were taken.
Ms. Johnson, when did you take those pictures of the bathroom?
The same day Z Plumbing came out, which was December 6th.
So they're not really relevant at this point. But subject to that, I have no objections.
Thank you.
And
now you were on F.
Yes, that was the receipt for the plumbing repair. And when did the plumber come out?
He came out on December 6th.
Okay. And,
On the 7th, he sent me all the paperwork and, well, he told me all the stuff before he left. He said it was gonna be $6,650 to fix the plumbing. Mr. Mack said that was too expensive, so we didn't go with it.
okay. And, you mentioned something about, you said that because the plumbing or the wall that was torn out in the bathroom, you had some rodent issues?
Yeah, there were mice coming into the property.
Okay,
I had to get mouse traps and stuff like that. They were coming all in the kitchen, in the living room. Because that wall was tore out, nobody came back to, fix the wall or the plumbing, so it was just open.
okay. And so, and Your Honor, did you ever take any photos of the rodents in the property?
I did, yes, ma'am.
Okay, Your Honor, I would like to refer to Defendant Exhibit E. And again, Ms. Johnson, those are photos that you took?
Yes,
of mice
ma'am,
in the kitchen?
yes.
And when was that?
That was December 12, 15, and 18.
Okay, you took more than one. I only submitted one to the court.
Yeah, I took a lot of pictures, but I sent you just the main one so you could see what was going on.
Okay. Thank you. And so since then, when they provided you with this, the first case was dismissed, you then received a complaint and summons for non-payment of rent, which is the case that's up before the court today. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then what's happened since then in terms of, why you've not, why haven't you moved from the apartment, from this house?
Well, when I talked to Mr. Mack before we fell out, before he didn't want to discuss, he said that he would pay me all my money back and my security deposit. He said money wasn't a problem and I could just move. But then he kept sending me these court dates. I told him I was on disability and I needed my security deposit back. And he said that's not a problem. But then, they were driving by the house. Yesterday, the daughter came and took the mail out the mailbox. So I wasn't able to get my mail out of there. I did move most of my things out of there and put them in a storage because I didn't trust them anymore. Too many things was going on. There were people just stopping on the front of the porch, revving their motors and doing things. I called the police and I have that report as well, about different things.
Your Honor, that's irrelevant. We have no idea who that was.
Yeah, he knew. I told Mr. Mack, he told me to call the police, so I did. And
Just because he said to call the police doesn't mean that he had
Ma'am,
anything to do
no,
with it.
no.
It's not relevant.
I decided it was relevant to this case. I'm just listening to Ms. Johnson at this time. The issue that this court has is that I still haven't seen proof that she paid December. And I'm waiting to hear why rent hasn't been paid in 7 months. I'm waiting for that. So let's get over this noise and taking a mail and whatnot, and let's get to the pertinent part.
Okay. well,
Again, Ms. Johnson, again. So after the first case was dismissed, you then got a non-payment of rent case. Why is it that you didn't pay any rent after that?
because I was trying to find somewhere to move. I was kind of like staying all over the place. And he told me not to come up there. And he said he wasn't taking my rent. He wanted me to just move out. He told
Okay,
me
so,
not to come to his place of business for any reason. He told me not to pay rent. He told me to get out.
okay, so why haven't you moved out at this point?
Like I said, all of my big stuff is out of the unit. I just have a few miscellaneouses in there, not nothing big. I was just waiting for the court because we have been coming to court and they haven't been showing up. So I didn't really know what to do. You said he filed harassment charges and all this stuff, reach out to you and let you know. Then he said he didn't want to have no access to me, take the key to the police station. It was just so many different things going on to where it didn't even make any sense. We didn't even have to go this far. They could have came to court. I could have got my money and moved on with my life. They did not want to come to court. They did not do anything he said he was going to do. It was just too much. I still haven't had the surgery. I don't have anywhere to stay. I only get disability. And he knew
Okay.
that.
Okay, so at this point in time, but you understand that you will need to vacate the property, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you will give him the keys, any keys that are there on the property, you will release those keys and give them to Mr. Ted.
Yes, ma'am.
No further questions, sir.
Thank you. Before Ms. Miller starts asking questions, I have a wedding that was scheduled for 2 o'clock. No, I got a text that they're on their way up, but they were on their way up 5 minutes ago. It's not that hard to come up. So I need them to come before we do cross. I'm looking for proof of the January payment, number one. And then I have just 2 short questions, Ms. Johnson. I don't typically get involved in, but I'm just curious. After the explosion in December, did the son ever come back to the property, back to the garage?
Yes, he came on New Year's Eve, came New Year's Day. He came all the time until we fell out in January. And then he came back and took some stuff out in February out of the garage. And then he came and cleaned some stuff up in March. And then he hadn't been back.
He hasn't been back since March.
No, he hasn't been
No, I
back.
want them to come now. I'm gonna do it right now before Ms. Miller begins her cross. Tell them to come on. I just need to take the shortest of recesses to do this wedding. It won't take 5 minutes. And let's find that proof of the
I do have
December
proof.
payment.
I have
And
proof.
Your Honor, if I could have an opportunity to speak with Ms. Shantu Johnson in a breakout room, please, while you're doing that.
Absolutely. Mary Ann will move you in there.
Thank you.
I'm not leaving the courtroom. Ms. Miller, I'll resume your cross here. Well, I'll start your cross as soon as I can get these people down the hall.
Take your time. I got married in
Thank you.
West Court.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Ms. McLemore, who did you need to go in with your
My
client?
client,
Got it.
my
Okay.
client.
Good afternoon. Come in. Nope, you're gonna come around here because they want to see you, not me. What's your first name? Tajay, come around here, please. Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm sorry. That's okay. Yeah. That's why I turned around so you all can sit and see them. You don't need to sit here. You all can, no, you can sit, you can sit in on this first bench. All right. Man, just come inside the rail, come inside. Come inside. Don't take it from the back, come inside.
Can get a picture for me? And I'll get Brandon. He has a new phone. I'm getting them.
Bro, look over here, bro.
Yeah,
She calling.
okay. Look at- Turn your TV down.
Yeah.
I'm about to.
Listen, I ain't playing.
Marianne?
Watch out.
Yes, Judge.
Hold on. I'll fix it. Can I get you to do me a solid? Kia, Tajay. Okay. Could you turn it on? You can't stand where I stand.
Hey, Jay. Hey, Jay.
You can't stand where I stand. Are we waiting for someone else?
No.
Sure?
Go that way. Come on.
You gotta see, come a little closer. I'm actually in the middle of a trial right now. No, you're fine. So we're recording and it's streaming, just FYI. Okay, you'll see it in a second. That's why I had him come turn this on. Thank you, Mr. Tella. Ms. Miller, if you and Mr. Tella turn your cameras off, I'd appreciate it greatly.
I just wish them luck.
Thank you.
That's really nice.
Everyone ready? We are gathered here today to celebrate the union of Tajay and Aaron. Marriage is an honorable estate and should not be entered into lightly. If anyone can show why Tajay and Aaron should not be lawfully joined together, let them speak now or forever hold their peace. Tajay and Aaron, ask both of you that if either of you know any reason why you may not be lawfully joined together, that you speak now or forever hold your peace. The marriage ceremony is a celebration of love and friendship. Those who are assembled here today believe in the two of you and your commitment to each other. I congratulate you on your decision to bind your relationship in marriage and urge you to remember during difficult times the feelings that got you here today, those of love, respect, and friendship. Please face each other. Aaron, will you take Tajay in marriage, and do you promise to love, honor, and care for her in sickness and in health, forsaking all others, as long as you both shall live? Tajay, will you take Aaron in marriage, and do you promise to love, honor, and care for him in sickness and in health, forsaking all others, as long as you both shall live? Aaron, please repeat after me. I, Aaron, take you, Tajay, in marriage, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love, obey, and cherish, as long as we both shall live. Mary Ann, mute her for me, please.
I did.
Thank you. You're welcome. Tajay, repeat after me, please. I, Tajay, take you, Aaron, in marriage, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, in sickness and in health, to love, obey, and cherish, as long as we both shall live. The rings. Aaron, place the ring on her finger, please, and repeat after me. In token and in pledge of the vow made between us, with this ring, I thee wed. Same thing, put his ring on his finger, please. And repeat after me. In token and in pledge of the vow made between us, with this ring, I thee wed. For as much as Tajay and Aaron have consented together in matrimony and have borne witness to this before this company, and by virtue of the authority vested in me by the state of Michigan, I now pronounce you legally and forever married. May your love grow May your love grow and your commitment to each other never waver. Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Miles.
Thank you, thank you. Now you gotta give them a real kiss.
Amen. Amen, everybody. Amen.
Now, this is the difficult part. I'll have you guys come over here. There are forms for you to sign. Only one person will sign at a time, otherwise you will mess it up. Who are the two witnesses? Come on.
Let's just come over here, please. So the witnesses are going to be signing above where your name is typed. Make sure you slow down, make sure you're signing in the right place. Virginia states.
So this is my name, I will sign here. Same here.
Yes, they do all of that.
You all right, Johnny? Okay, hold on. Yeah.
So you're gonna look for the problem with your name, signature on top, printed name below. If you're taking his last name, you use the new last name.
Are you taking this thing? Okay, who's taking? Could they be any here? Mary Ann, you gotta come see this. You guys come see. See, that's why you should sit there right name.
Last name right.
I know that. I know. That's a bold. AJ.
Yeah, right. You been practicing it? All right.
What are you doing? You're turning it. This is the
So for you all, I have just a token of thanks. And I'd like to share. I'm sorry, Miss McLemore, I'm coming.
He's on the phone. There he is.
Thank you for your service, sir. And just so you know, I have a book where I keep track of who I married, so thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now both parties, I can go back to work. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you so much.
So just one of the fancy gold stickers you're taking, you said that you're the one to send that.
All right. Give him a round of applause, y'all.
Right.
Welcome
Welcome you into the family, Aaron. Of course, you was already in the family. But welcome.
Separate here today, didn't take you.
Good job, good job.
He never showed up.
Got it, got it.
Yeah,
Hello? Or did Steve call about it?
No,
Did anybody call
the
about it?
defendant did. He appeared when you told he wasn't.
Yeah.
By me?
Okay.
Talk to Mary.
Okay, let me hold on to it and I'll talk to her and we'll figure out what to do.
You want this on?
No, that was just because. Thank you. I'll follow up with it. Ms. Miller, Ms. McLemore. My apologies for the interruption. We are ready for the cross of Ms. Johnson. We're back on the record in 231935 LT. Ms. Miller, if you're ready, you unmute yourself and start your cross of Ms. Johnson. Fine.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Miss Johnson, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay, good. Now, when did you move into the house?
November 7th or 8th, somewhere around there, about a week after.
And you still have the keys to the property?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Now, you stated there were some fumes coming into the home. When approximately was that?
December 30th, around 11:27.
And you felt you had to leave the home because of the fumes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and did you leave?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and how long were you gone?
Just a couple of hours. I opened up all the windows and everything.
Now, you said that the bathroom needed some repairs and you paid $175 for an estimate?
Yes, with Z Plumbing.
Right, but you didn't have, did you state that you didn't have the work done?
Yes, the work is not
Okay.
done. Still the same.
So the money you paid was strictly for the estimate, not for any repairs?
Exactly.
Okay. Now, when you moved in, did you show Mr. Johnson, did you show Mr. Tadla your income information?
Yes, he already knew about the disability. Me and him and Susan talked the day I met him at the house.
And did you believe that your disability income was sufficient to pay the rent plus your other expenses?
Yes, ma'am.
And what changed between November 1st and December 1st when the rent was due?
I was supposed to have surgery November 14th. So when I met with Mr. Mack, I was working still. So I had extra additional income and I had saved money because I was having surgery.
I see.
So I went to his place of business and gave him $1,300 for December rent. He gave me a carbon copy from his place of business for December.
So you feel that all this time it's fair for you to not pay any rent for all these 6 months you've been living there since you last paid rent? You don't feel you owe that?
I'm not saying that you don't have to pay rent where you stay. I'm saying if you guys had showed up and we would have been done with this and I could have got my money back, but since you was trying to let it build up to where it is now because he said you was gonna do that, because that's what you do, I could have got my security deposit back.
So it's a yes or no question, basically. Do you think it's fair to stay in a home for 6 months and not pay rent?
No,
Okay, now you made it sound like the place was unlivable. Why
The
didn't you leave?
because I had nowhere to go.
So where are you gonna go now?
What I've been doing, staying at my daughter's house, staying at my son, sleeping on
Okay,
people's houses.
because you can't afford rent at this point?
No, because Mac wanted me to move out.
So the reason that you moved in was because you needed a place without stairs?
Yes, ma'am.
And not because of the 5 previous eviction cases you've had against you from other
Oh, Your
landlords?
Honor,
Those are my daughters.
I object.
I'm
Your Honor.
sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Ms. McLemore,
Yes, I object. It has
the
nothing
basis
to
of
do
your
with-
objection.
It's irrelevant to the case at hand, Your Honor.
Well, it just seems that she moves from place to place and doesn't keep up with her rent.
There's been nothing in the testimony to indicate that, and I believe that if any prior cases that she did pay her rent, she may have had to catch it up, but she paid it, and those cases were all dismissed.
Okay, nothing further, Your Honor.
Any redirect, Ms. McLemore?
Ms. Johnson, again, for the time that you've been there, again, I just have a closing statement. I really don't have any additional questions for Ms. Johnson, but except for Ms. Johnson, now, like at this point in time, you do understand you're gonna be moving, correct? You will move up.
Yes, ma'am. I'm just about already. I have the big
Okay.
item, the storage.
And you will give Mr. Tedla any keys or everything that you have access to access the home, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I have no further questions for Ms. Johnson.
I
Thank
just
you.
want,
Ms. Johnson, I just have one, I'm sorry, Ms. Miller, go ahead.
I can wait till you're done.
No, ma'am, go ahead.
Just one summary statement. It sounds like the old story, the place isn't fit to live in if we have to pay rent, but it's fit to live in for free.
Is that a
That's
question, ma'am?
Totally irrelevant.
No, it's my
and
closing
it's really
statement.
unethical. I have a problem with that.
So, Ms. Miller, was that a question?
No, it was my closing
Okay.
statement.
No, I didn't ask for a closing statement yet. Ms. Johnson, I have a single question for you. When
Okay.
you moved in, you were aware of Mr. Tedla's son's use of the garage for whatever purposes. You were aware that that was a part of the agreement?
Yes.
Okay,
I wanted to say something else to you if I could.
you wanted to do what, ma'am?
I wanted to say something else to you, Judge, if that's okay.
That's a conversation that you should have had with Ms. McLemore. She, as your attorney, is usually the one that asks questions or makes
Right.
statements to the court.
Okay, that's fine.
So there's another issue that you have, that you feel is relevant to the payment of the rent. Is that it, Ms. Johnson?
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Okay. Ms. McLemore, do you have any other witnesses?
No,
Anything further, ma'am?
no, I rest my case, Your Honor.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Miller, your closing statement.
I just wanted to say, it sounds like your usual, the place isn't fit to live in, but it's fit to live in for free. She's been there since November 3rd.
Actually, that's when the lease was signed. I didn't move in November 3rd.
Ms. Johnson, no, we don't do that.
Okay, November
We don't do
7th.
that. We don't.
But it's been, it's clear that there was a lot of miscommunication and hostility between the parties, but that doesn't excuse that the rent is due.
Anything else, Ms. Miller?
No.
Ms. McLemore?
Yes, Your Honor. Number one, again, I believe that in this case, there is Michigan law that requires that a security deposit, whenever it's taken by a landlord, it has to be accompanied with an inventory checklist. That was never done. There should have never been a $2,000 payment for a security deposit in this matter. I believe that Ms. Johnson is entitled to that, and the plaintiff violated the law. Additionally, because this property, again, he just rented it, Again, and it does acknowledge that there was no inventory checklist. There was no, nothing sought in terms of making sure that the property was registered, or if it was in fact required to be registered. Additionally, in terms of her and the defendant's enjoyment of the property and the ability to maintain the property, Mr. Tedla has, and I believe he acknowledged that he contacted her, he sent her a 30-day notice to vacate the property. And that was the reason that there was original case. It was a termination of tenancy case. So that case should have never been brought. And at that point in time, the issue of, there was not an issue of payment, and Mr. Tedla would not accept a payment. He indicated that he did not want her in that unit, and he just wanted his house back at that point. The relationship had disintegrated at that point, and there was no, the relationship had disintegrated, and he just didn't want her there anymore. And also, again, without the inventory checklist, we did provide conditions. She rented the home with 2 bathrooms. One of them is inaccessible. I did provide documentation of that. And Your Honor, again, so with that in mind, and with the representations that were made in this matter, we believe that the defendant should be entitled to abatement for at least for the condition of that second bathroom. She's entitled to abatement because there was, again, there were rodents, there was never repaired. There was a hole in the wall that allowed rodents to come into the home, and that certainly deterred her use and enjoyment of the property. And again, for those reasons, we would ask that the plaintiff's complaint be denied in this case, Your Honor.
What abatement are you looking for, Ms. McLemore? What percentage of the rent?
I would say that having a second bathroom is important, and that she would be entitled to at least 25% of the rent.
Thank you. Anything else, Ms. McLemore?
No, Your Honor.
Anything else, Ms. Miller?
Obviously, she had enough bathroom access to stay living in the property. And she did not allow my client to have his plumber enter the home. She is, as he said, he was denied entrance. My client's been denied entrance, so there was no way for a repair to have been done. So she shouldn't get any abatement.
Your Honor, again, I believe that is speculation, and as the plaintiff has the burden of proof in this matter, that has not been shown.
Anything else, Ms. Miller? Did we ever get proof? Thank you. Did we get proof of the December payment, or did Mr. Tedla acquiesce that it was in fact made?
No, Ms. Johnson indicates that she actually paid him at his place of employment for the December rent and provided her with a receipt. And if Your Honor would give us the opportunity to provide that by the end of the day, because Ms. Johnson is certain that she has a receipt that Mr. Tedla gave her for the rent payment in December.
No, Ms. McLemore, what this court would do would be amend the judgment if it were necessary. The reason why I say that is because the wedding took a lot longer than anticipated. Your client knew exactly what I was looking for, didn't produce it, knew that the allegation was that rent was due for December through July, and should have brought those proofs to court with her today. But this court, having had the opportunity to hear the parties in this matter, Ms. McLemore and Ms. Johnson, this court has the same opinion that Ms. Miller does, that you can't complain about the condition of a property and continue to occupy that property without paying. And this court would typically, if there were repairs made beyond the $175, the court would have taken that into greater consideration. If there was a bill produced that showed that she paid money towards the abatement of the road issue, again, the court would allow a recovery or offset in that amount. But I didn't hear that that was an issue or that that was a step that Ms. Johnson took. That being the case at this time, what the court will do is grant an abatement of the rent, not the 25% requested by the defendant in this case, but will reduce the rent by $200 per month because of the inability to use the bathroom, to use that secondary bathroom. The court finds that the reduced use of the premises, i.e. lack of access to the garage, was something, although not codified in the lease, something that the parties agreed to and had to have been a part of the conversation before Ms. Johnson took possession of the property. The abatement will cause the rent to be calculated at $1,100 per month for the 8 months. That's $8,800 plus the water bill, $385.61. The filing fees of, I believe it was $130. The $34 service fee, statutory attorney fee. And if 385.61, let's see. Just so we're clear that 8,800, am I doing that? No. It is, okay, 8 months. So that is December 2022 through July 2023. If Ms. Johnson produces proof of payment, i.e. the receipt and showing money from a source close in time to their receipt date, similar to the security deposit in the first month of rent, the court will make the adjustment to the judgment. But at this time, it's $8,800 in rent, $385.61 in water bill, $130 filing fee, $34 service fee, $75 attorney fee. A total, I believe, is $9,424.61. Ms. Miller, if you would prepare that judgment and submit it to the court for entry,
Your Honor,
it would be most.
can we, since the lease provides for a locksmith, can we state that if she returns the keys, that she won't have to pay anything for a locksmith?
If she returns the keys, I don't do speculation, and I'm sure Ms. McLemore will have this conversation with Ms. Johnson. The judgment will be for the dollar amount just indicated on the record. The 10 days puts us on July the 17th. We have a hearing in the GC file on July the 18th. So if Ms. Johnson vacates the property in its entirety, she should leave it broom clean and should turn the keys over to Ms. Miller. I only have a PO box for you. I'm not sure if Ms. Johnson would be best served by
Well, we had
sending the
arranged
keys to Mr.
for her to take them to meet Mr. Tedla at the police station.
Have you already arranged a date time for that?
Well, we had before, but it didn't happen.
We never agreed to a time for that. May I ask, Your Honor, is there any consideration being given in terms of a security deposit in violation of the security deposit laws for the state of Michigan?
The security, here's the thing, it's a non-payment of rent case. If she pays, she can stay. So security deposit doesn't come into play. Mr. Tedla has obligations under the Security Deposit Act where these defects in her move-in and the lack of inventory and everything else can be taken up at that time in that case if it comes up.
Well, he never.
And that's
should
why
have
when
even
we
charged
talked
it.
last week, I tried to get.
He never even
Sorry, go
charged,
ahead,
I mean, he
ma'am.
didn't have a right to even charge it.
He didn't have a right to charge the security deposit?
No, he did not. He didn't have a right to assess the security deposit.
Is it your, I haven't looked at MCL.
Um, yeah. Like, yes, I believe, counter. My
Ms.
computer.
McLemore, it's been quite some time that since I've looked at 554-608 in its entirety and 609.
Yes, and Your Honor, yeah, I had that open on my computer, but my computer has been, our system has been active, it's too active for too long. And so even though I had it on my system, it's kind of, it's logging me out now because it's been inactive.
I'm looking at it and I looked at it earlier and I don't see where it indicates that. I'll look at it again, Ms. McLemore, but for right now, I don't see that excuse me, I don't see that is detrimental to the security deposit. Like I said, I will look at it in greater detail, but for right now, the judgment will be as indicated. The pay or vacate day will be July 17, 2023. What I was starting to say before is that there is this remaining GC file that's scheduled for trial at 11 a.m. on Tuesday, July the 18th, where the court has the motion to strike the complaint and dismiss the case from Ms. Miller and will be prepared to take up that GC case, any response thereto, and address any other issues that the parties might have at that time. Is there anything else in this LT matter, Ms. Miller?
If we're going to possibly amend the judgment to subtract 1 month's rent if she can find the receipt, correct?
Correct, but Ms. Miller, if your client knows or has a receipt book that shows that December payment, let's not do these gymnastics. I'm not saying that he does. I'm just suggesting if she produces a receipt from him showing December payment, this court will have concerns about his veracity in the July 18th matter. But your question was, if she produces the receipt, the court would amend the judgment after you've had the opportunity to review the receipt.
Right, and we wouldn't have a problem with that. It's possible that he forgot. These
I
things
have.
happen. It's a stressful case. Also,
It's not a stressful case, Ms. Miller. This is money. This is not freedom.
Anyway, could we also have if we don't get the keys back, could we have an amendment potentially for the cost?
Again, that's all about damages, and damages are only attributable after the person has moved. That's not an issue for today.
Thank you for answering for me, Ms. McLemore, but
I'm
Ms.
sorry.
Miller, my response would be, no, that's okay. My response would be that I already responded to the issue of the security deposit. It's not at play yet. The summary proceeding is pay. If you pay, you stay. So the security deposit and any defaults or defects on Ms. Johnson's move out are not before this court. Once she turns the keys in, or if she doesn't turn the keys in, once your client retakes that property, he has responsibilities. And he'll do that. And if there are issues regarding the security deposit, the disposition thereof, that's something for another court on another day. It's not an issue in a summary proceeding.
Okay, so you're saying that if there's an issue regarding the locks, that we would lump that in with the security deposit?
That's correct, because the way I read the lease, it only says if she changed the locks, and there was no testimony that there had been locks changed.
Yes,
So it's
there was.
possible that the keys did I miss that?
Yes, my client testified that he went there and the locks were changed to check.
Well,
on
then
the
I think,
property. He
well,
went with the
Your Honor,
police.
I think that at this point, Your Honor, any issues regarding claim for any kind of, any other issues, they would be, again, after the property has been repossessed or back in Mr. Tedler's possession.
That's fine. I just wanted to establish that. Okay, thank you.
Okay, because Ms. Miller, I must have missed that. And that will be paragraph 10 of the lease will be addressed after Mr. Tetler receives the property back, possession of the property back.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything else, Ms. Miller?
Should I call your clerk about the July 18th because I can't appear in person? Can we make that a Zoom hearing?
Any objection to that hearing being by Zoom, Ms. McLemore?
I am not involved in
Oh,
that
you're not
particular
appearing.
situation, unfortunately, so that would be Ms. Johnson's call.
Ms. Johnson, any objection to that July 18th hearing being by Zoom?
I would like it to be in person because usually people tell the truth when they're in person.
Well,
People
yes.
lie in person, unfortunately, Ms. Johnson. Ms. Miller, are you just not available that day or you do not want to appear in person?
I'm not available that week. I'm going to Michigan later in the month, but I'm in Florida now.
When are you in Michigan?
Well, we haven't set the exact date because it's some family things going on. But if we did it by Zoom, I could do it anywhere, just like I called you from Germany when I was out there last month at my cousin's. So if we could do it by Zoom, and I'm not the one who won't be there in person. So I'm not gonna, my lying or not lying won't have any bearing on this. Everyone else could be there in person, but I can't.
You would let your client appear in person with you on Zoom?
Well, no, but stranger things have happened.
Respectfully, when we scheduled this, it was based around the schedules of the parties and the court. And if you're not available on that date, this court's position is I don't make people come to court, but if you're saying, first you said later in July, but now it sounds like you might not be available. Is it that you're not comfortable appearing in court, or do we just need to work out a different day?
Well, I actually live in Florida now and I go back and forth. So we're going to drive up there and we have a lot of family things to coordinate. So we were going to go that week, but we had to postpone. And we still don't have it pinned down exactly when we're going because we had a family member hospitalized unexpectedly. So if we did it by Zoom, it wouldn't be a problem. Anywhere I am in the world, I could handle. And when you asked, you did cut me off that day, and Miss Johnson seemed like she was on the fence, but she said she wanted it in person, and I didn't really. You were kind of in a hurry to get off the record.
Ms. Miller, I'm going to interrupt you because I'm not in a hurry to get off, but I don't like people going on unnecessarily. I don't like when we're just trying to schedule and there's extraneous conversation being had. Scheduling is scheduling, and there's no point to continue to discuss the case if we're just going to set a date. So I don't hurry people off, but I don't like a lot of extraneous conversation. So if you're telling me that you don't want to come, that's fine. If Ms. Johnson wants to come in person, she can come in person. I don't typically make people come who don't want to come. If the 18th, if you're not available.
I'm available on the 18th via Zoom.
Ms. Johnson, you are free to appear in person on that day if you wish. Ms. Miller is allowed to appear by Zoom. It makes it a little bit more complicated to share documents, and I'm not sure if her witnesses will appear in person or on Zoom. Those are some things that I like to get nailed down just so that we can make the most efficient use of time.
And Your Honor,
So Ms. Johnson,
part of my motion is to get a witness list and some kind of a idea of what the trial's about. So that's why I thought we could have the hearing and then decide whether or not to have If I succeed in my motion, we won't have a trial. Because her complaint doesn't state a duty or a breach of duty.
And that unfortunately is typically what happens in the small claims case. And after it was removed, the record was not extended. The complaint was not, affidavit and claim was not extended at all.
That's why I was hoping we could have a motion date before the trial was
Did you call the
scheduled.
civil department for a motion date?
Yes.
You called
They
and the
said-
civil department wouldn't give you a motion date?
Yes, I spoke with a gentleman and he put me on hold and he went and talked to someone else and he said that it would be up to you.
There is a motion that was received on June the 26th, and it was my intention to just take it up before we started the proceedings. Ms. Johnson, have you received this motion to strike, dismiss case and motion for, to post bond?
She didn't appear in the case.
Ms. Johnson didn't appear in the case that she
Oh,
filed?
I'm sorry. Yes, I sent it by mail. I'm waiting for the date for the motion, for my motion. And then I'm going to send her a copy of everything with the notice of hearing. But I have sent it to her before. It was scheduled before.
Ms. Johnson, do you have a copy of the motion that I just referenced?
I just have paperwork for the 18th of July. That's all I have to show up for that.
You haven't received a mailing from Ms. Miller asking that your case be dismissed or that you be required to file a witness list or provide a witness list and greater specifics about what your claim is?
No, his daughter's been coming to the mailbox, so I didn't get anything.
Your Honor, I sent it to her for the last hearing because I was hoping to have it heard when I filed the previous motion in this matter. And so she has it.
She says she didn't, and I try to take parties at the worst. What we will do is instead of the July 18th at 11 a.m. being the trial in person, it will be a Zoom hearing on the defendant's motion to dismiss case and require you to post bond. Ms. Johnson, what I would suggest is that you go through the documents you have and make sure that you have not received a copy of this motion. If you have not received it, you are more than welcome to come to the court. They will pull the file and they can make a copy for you.
Your Honor, I'll send her another one because now that I have the notice, time and date, I will send her a whole set right today in the mail. What is the time again?
11 a.m. It will replace that live trial will be a Zoom hearing on just the motion. And at that time, we'll have, if you are unsuccessful in your motion, we will reschedule the trial date. If you are successful in your motion to dismiss the case, that will conclude Ms. Johnson's small claims that has become a general civil.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything else, Ms. Miller?
No, I think we're fixed up here.
Anything else, Ms. McLemore?
No, Your Honor.
Anything else, Ms. Johnson?
Yes, I just wanted to know if I could have a couple days before I give him the key. That's it.
You have until July 17th is that's the date that will be stated. So you have July 17th.
All right, thank you.
That concludes this matter. Everyone have a good afternoon. That concludes
Thank you, Your Honor.
this court's docket for the day. We stand adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you,
You're
Your Honor.
welcome.